okay, we'll talk about tints and shades and tones, okay? So your main hue, let's say your main hue or your main color is red. If you want to lighten that, you create a tint by adding white. And then you create a tone by adding gray. And then you create a shade by adding your black or your darkest value. So you don't have to get a red in so many values. You know, imagine you have to get a light red, a medium red, a dark red. That would be so difficult to manage with a palette. You really get confused. So you just have to find out, you need to find a way. How do you make this lighter? How do you make it darker? How do you bring down the saturation? So saturation is your chroma. How do you make it dull? Okay, because when you do painting, you don't want everything to be high chroma. You want only your focal point to have high chroma. And then the further it goes, you want the chroma to decrease. For example, this is our reference photo. Now you'll notice in the reference photo that the teapot is actually a dark brown, and then the background is also black. But in the final painting, you will notice that I totally changed the color of this, and I made it a teal green. Why? Because the main colors that you see, your browns and your dark browns, are all related to red. So if I keep everything red, orange, yellow, brown, then it's going to look monochromatic. So how do you create more interest in your painting? Then you go for the complementary color. Okay, so the complementary color of red is green. That's why the teapot, I made it a bit on the greenish side. And then your tomato is sort of a red-orange. So again, the complement of orange is blue. So instead of having a dark brown teapot, I made this a bluish green. So it's going to have that look of aged patina. So sort of a teal, you'll have some colors of teal, some blues, and some greens. And then instead of having just a yellow color for this one, so this is like, this is part of the garlic. So instead of keeping it yellow, we're going to paint it with a bit of green and blue as well. So, you know, just to keep that contrast going within your painting. One of the difficulties that a lot of artists encounter when they try to find a subject to paint is that they can't find the perfect reference photo, because it's very hard to find that perfect reference photo. So you have to be able to train yourself to see where you can tweak the color to make it work as a painting. Another thing, as I said about chroma, so if this is my focal point here, so I'm going to play around here with the light. So I have two tomatoes here that is nearer my light. I always put my light on the top left. So it's always on the top left, hitting the objects here. So these objects are nearer the light. So I want this to have more chroma, more high contrast, more intense color. And then I would have another color here. So I set up the still life. I on purpose put another small tomato here, but I'm going to make sure in the painting that this will not be as vibrant as these two. So there will always be a portion where the light enters and where it exits. There will always be a portion where the color is intense and where it starts to fade out. So it's always like that. You should try to find balance in your painting. So these are things that you plan ahead of time before you start your painting. It's something that you will develop as you paint, you know, as you develop your skill as a painter. Because more than the skill in rendering, like you can draw well, you can make sure that everything is scaled properly, but more than that, what makes a successful painting is knowing how to make it interesting. You know, it has to be interesting, and it has to tell a story, and you have to be able to manipulate the light and the shadow, and you have to know where the edges are sharp and where it should soften. Again, where the light enters and where it exits. So those things really, really matter.